Our film begins today, many years before our main story, in a time when the sky belonged to young airbenders racing through the clouds. A young boy named Aang wins a friendly flying race against other children of his temple, laughing with joy, but his celebration is cut short by his teacher and guardian, an elderly monk. As the two of them return to their air temple, the sky suddenly turns dark, and Aang watches in horror as flames swallow the temple and everyone he loves. Aang wakes up. He is an adult now, and what we just saw was only a nightmare that still haunts him. His animal companions, a giant flying bison named Appa and a small winged lemur named Momo, comfort. The three of them travel to an old abandoned air temple, where they are suddenly ambushed by a group of non-benders who call themselves the Denied. This group is searching for an ancient carved totem depicting a mysterious figure from airbender legend, a name called Sonam. Aang tries to protect the temple and ends up in a duel with a young member of the group, a girl named Kalik. When one of the Denied fires an attack at Aang, he instead chooses to save Kalik from the blast, even as the temple begins to crumble around them. In the chaos, the Denied manage to escape with a map they found alongside the totem, while Aang flees the collapsing temple with Appa and Momo. He decides he must return to Republic City to figure out what is going on. A quick look back reminds us of who Aang is. He was discovered frozen in ice as a boy and grew up to fulfill his destiny as the Avatar, the only person able to master all four elements: water, earth, fire, and air. His friend Katara taught him waterbending, a blind earthbender named Toph taught him earthbending, and his old enemy turned ally Zuko taught him firebending, while his friend Sokka, who has no bending abilities at all, taught him how to lead using only his mind and his heart. Together, this group defeated the tyrannical Fire Lord Ozai and ended 100 years of war between the four nations. Since then, they have built Republic City together, a place meant to unite people from every nation and help the world heal. Back in Republic City, we find Katara speaking to a large crowd as a member of the city council. Aang arrives, wounded from his encounter with the Denied, and Katara, who is now his girlfriend, tends to his injuries. Aang tells her about his worries regarding the Denied and their strange connection to this figure named Sonam. Wanting answers, Aang enters the Avatar state to speak with the spirits of past avatars, but none of them recognize the name Sonam until he meets an avatar named Xian. Xian explains that Sonam was a nearly forgotten avatar who lived long ago, during the golden age of the Air Nomads. She once created a powerful staff that could channel the endless energy of the spirit world, granting whoever held it unlimited power. At some point, Sonam and her staff vanished without a trace, and their fate became a mystery. Aang suspects that the map stolen by the Denied could lead straight to this staff. The only clue Xian can offer is that Sonam disappeared somewhere near Mount Baihu. Before leaving, Aang sends word to Katara that he is setting out on a new mission with Appa and Momo. Katara, in turn, contacts Zuko, who now handles duties as Fire Lord, Sokka, who is busy teaching young students to waterbend, and Toph, who is training earthbenders in the art of metal bending, asking all of them to meet Aang at Mount Baihu. At the snowy peak of the mountain, Aang discovers a figure trapped inside a block of ice and assumes it must be Sonam. He uses his bending to free the figure, only to find that it is actually a man. Just then, the mountain begins to shake and crumble around them. To Aang's surprise, this stranger turns out to be an airbender as well, and the two of them work together to hold the mountain steady until the rest of Aang's friends arrive to rescue them both. The group brings the unconscious stranger back to their camp, where he wakes and introduces himself as Taga. He seems particularly uneasy around Toph, since she is an earthbender. Aang explains to Taga the tragic history of the Air Nomads, how the Fire Nation wiped them out generations ago, and how Aang has lived his whole life believing he was the very last airbender in the world. In response, Taga reveals that Sonam's staff was never meant to be a weapon. It was a gift, one that once gave power to his home, an ancient airbender city called Jarana. He explains that Sonam used the staff's power to grant him the ability to airbend, even though he was not born with it. This revelation stuns Aang, because it means there may be a way to bring airbenders back into the world. Taga tells the group that the staff is hidden on a remote island, reachable only through a dangerous path in the sky. During their journey, he teaches Aang a special technique for airbending, in perfect harmony with a partner, a skill passed down to him by Sonam herself. That night, the Denied launch a surprise attack on the group's airship. Taga uses his airbending in an attempt to crush their attacker's ship completely, an act of aggression that catches Katara's attention and makes her uneasy. After escaping the Denied, the heroes find themselves caught in the path of an enormous, unavoidable storm, known as the Immortal Storm. Aang and Taga work together to guide the ship forward, while Katara, Sokka, Toph, and Zuko struggle to hold the vessel together and keep it from crashing into the sea below. Aang and Taga manage to steer them safely out of the storm, but the rest of the group is furious with Aang for nearly getting them all killed. The group arrives at a cluster of islands resting on the backs of enormous lion turtles, believed to be where the staff is hidden. Aang sets off with Appa and Momo to search for it, while Taga stays behind with the others. Katara, still suspicious of it, decides to confront Taga directly. That is when his true nature is finally revealed. Taga believes that Katara is holding Aang back from fulfilling his true destiny, and he attacks her without hesitation. When Sokka, Toph, and Zuko step in to help her, he defeats them as well. Taga then finds Aang, and before Aang can even process what kind of man Taga really is, he strikes him down and steals the staff. He also takes Appa and flies off to find the Denied, using the staff's power to grant them bending abilities of their own. Meanwhile, Aang finds himself pulled into a realm that exists between worlds, where he meets the spirit of Avatar Sonam herself. When she learns what Taga has done, she shares the truth of what happened long ago. During the age of the Air Nomads, the city of Jirana flourished, until the Earth Kingdom broke away from the other nations and turned against it. Sonam had already used her staff to grant others the gift of airbending, but the Earth Kingdom eventually attacked Jirana and killed everyone Taga loved, which explains his deep fear and hatred toward earthbenders like Toph. Twisted by grief and rage, Taga wanted to use the staff to build an army and take revenge on anyone who was not an air nomad. When Sonam refused to help him, he stole the staff from her by force. Its power transformed him into a monstrous, hulking creature after he connected himself to the ancient temple that once powered Jirana. Realizing he had become too dangerous to defeat, Sonam sealed Taga away inside the mountain and hid the staff, keeping it secret until she passed away. Aang's friends managed to revive him. Realizing that Taga is now searching for Sonam's temple within the spirit world, Aang calls upon the great ocean spirit to guide them all there. As they cross into the spirit world, each of them is transformed to a different age. Aang and Toph become children, Katara and Zuko become elderly, while Sokka remains completely unchanged. They soon encounter a massive spirit known as the Gorilla Vark, who at first refuses to help them, until Momo manages to win it over. The Gorilla Vark then carries the group the rest of the way to their destination. There, the heroes discover Taga attempting to bring Sonam's ancient temple crashing down directly onto Republic City. As panicked citizens flee for their lives, the group springs into action, but they quickly find themselves outmatched by the newly empowered Denied. While Aang faces off against Taga, his friends fight to hold back the Denied. When Katara, Zuko, and Toph become too exhausted to keep bending, Sokka steps up to support them, using nothing but his own cleverness and skill. As the temple finally collapses, Taga connects himself to the staff once more and transforms into the giant, rampaging beast from before. Aang pushes himself into the full Avatar state to battle him, eventually managing to wrestle the staff away. Aang then briefly channels the staff's overwhelming power himself, before ultimately choosing to destroy it completely. The moment the staff is gone, the Denied instantly lose their newfound bending abilities, and Taga reverts back to his true form, only to begin fading away for good. In his final moments, Aang stays by his side, helping him finally find peace and redemption before he disappears entirely. In the aftermath, the heroes come together to help rebuild Republic City. Aang also begins the work of restoring Air Nomad culture, founding a new air temple, and speaking once again with the spirit of Sonam, who reassures him that the legacy of his people can continue to live on. Aang forms a new group of Air acolytes to carry these teachings forward, including Khalik, the young member of the Denied he once saved, who now feels nothing but gratitude toward him. Together, the group makes one final joyful discovery: an entire hidden field of sky bison, a species long believed to be completely extinct. With their new companions and a restored sense of hope, Aang and his friends take to the skies once more, soaring together toward the future. And with that, our movie ends. Hope you liked the recap. If you reached the end, don't forget to leave a like on the video and write us a nice comment, as you always do. And for those watching us for the first time, subscribe to the channel to see all the upcoming recaps. See you in the next movie. Peace.